Welcome to Often Pacing on Tab Radio Racing and Sport. Tim Walker will be joined by Matt Young and Oli Cownie as they delve into the form for today's Pinjarra harness meeting, as well as an early look at tomorrow's meeting at Gloucester Park. We are Often Pacing.
Yes, it's a very good morning, everybody. Welcome along to another edition of Often Pacing off the back of our Diamond Classic on Friday night, Narrogin Cup, and looking ahead to the next couple of days, Pinjarra and Gloucester Park. Tim Walker with you, and we've got a very busy show on the way. We'll get to our experts in just a moment. Matt Young and Oli Cownie there standing by, but we've got Jocelyn Young to join us a little later on this hour. She's got a couple of chances today, just down to a couple after a scratching. We'll talk about them and also the week over in New South Wales, or the couple of weeks over in New South Wales with Steno that culminated with the placing last week. So we'll have a chat to her in a couple of moments' time. But let's not keep our experts waiting. Matt Young's with us. Good morning to you, Matt.
Good morning again, Tim. Good morning to Oli and everyone tuned in.
Great to have you along. Great to have Oli Cownie with us as well. Hello to you, Oli.
Morning, Tim. Morning, Matt. Yeah, it was a fantastic card of racing there on Friday, wasn't it? And it was very competitive, highlighted by the fact they couldn't split them in the last.
Yeah, exactly right. And I'm sure that'll be something that we touch on. It was a night whereby going in, if you could find probably 4 or 5 winners, you'd be pretty happy with your efforts, maybe even 2 to 3. It was that type of a program. We need to get stuck into the feature, though, and it was probably the most predictable result of the evening. That was Ruby Lavera able to get to the top, and from there, that was all she wrote. She is the class filly. Certainly, if she's not the class, she's one of the class fillies of this crop. She's done the Diamond Double. Justin Prentice, Gary Hall Jr., a familiar result here. Oli, we'll start with you. What did you make of the feature?
Yeah, it was a really dominant victory there by Ruby Lavera. She's come back an even better horse, it seems, and once she led, she really did look very hard to beat, and it looked like she just cruised up the home straight under her own steam and really put a pretty big margin on them in the end. Delcimino Amal, she was good battling away for second, and Wicked Lover for third, but yeah, with the scratching of Delulu, there was probably a little bit less pressure in the race, and Ruby Lavera was able to get away with things on the front, and she was really dominant, but she did still run pretty good time there, 1:56.8, and home 28.2 on the way home. So there's, it looks like she'll be a really nice horse going forward, and yeah, the beaten bunch, they went well as well, but the winner was just, she was in a class of her own.
Takes her earnings over the $100,000 barrier, and Matt, the way that she's come back this time in, she's going to be playing a part, you'd think, going forward in the 3-year-old fillies features that are still to come.
Yeah, 100% agree. Like you mentioned that she's done the Diamond Double, but she won the 2-year-old version at a big price and has a bit of a shock, and this time she was expected to win. I think what she's been able to do from a 2-year-old to being inexperienced and showing ability, but to go out, have a break, come back, and the way that she's elevated this time in has been really impressive and very noticeable to see that she's just a well-rounded racehorse, and she's got a lot of depth there, and she's really come back and gone to another level. So, yeah, very exciting for connections with Ruby Lavera.
That it certainly is. All right, well, let's get some horses to follow from Friday night's meeting and see if we can make $1 on these ones going forward. We'll let you start off here, Matt. You're going to the opener.
Yeah, look, I liked Cool Barting Navajo. Initially, I've got to say I was disappointed because I had a place bet on Cool Barting Navajo, but at the same token, I looked at the race and look, they've gone 154 and change, or 154, so that's a very good time for her. She's just sort of got to the outside late and has just peaked on the run, but I think there's a lot of wins in store for this horse going forward. So she's won not only just in the next few starts to follow, but I think long term. So Cool Barting Navajo for me goes into the black book, as well as Howard Mack, who just needed a touch of luck. There was a bit of speed on in this race, and he was running up behind them. He's racing really well, Howard Mack, and I think he's got a Metro win in store. So he's definitely one to follow. He's just had a few draws that have sort of gone against him and the way the races have been run, but he's got good depth and versatility. I think he can be able to win in a Friday night race very soon, and She Can Play is one that I think will be winning a race very soon. She had a nice soft draw in the Ruby Lavera race, but I've liked her last few runs, and I thought her run on Friday night was quite good again. So she goes in terms of one to follow, and I think she'll be winning one very soon. So Coolbarding, Navajo, Ord, Mac, and she can play. I think you can play all three of those, and they'll be winning you some money in the next few weeks. Yeah,
and Glenn Moore did mention that on the preview on Friday morning. Just have she can play in the first fours, could pop up, and that's exactly how it played out. So one to follow there for Matt, alongside Coolbarding, Navajo and Allwood Mac. Ollie, you're also going to the first, and you're going to be a little different to Matt, but then you'll be similar to him in just a moment.
Yeah, in the first race, it was just such a competitive race. They went a really strong tempo there early, lead time 36, and then they just kept rolling, and Pocket the Change was the one that was copping all the pressure there out in front. She showed really good gate speed early to lead, and she wasn't beaten too far, considering they did go that 154 miles. So I thought there was plenty to take out of that performance of Pocket the Change. She could have easily been beaten further given how fast they went, but she battled on well, and it's a really, really strong field, that one, with Alta Tribute running second and Lion Queen a dominant winner. So I think there's definitely a race that Pocket the Change can lead and win very, very soon, potentially back in Mayor's company. And then in the third race, as you mentioned, Tim, seeing it exactly the same way as Matt. I think Allwood Mac's come back terrific this time in. Ryanair's done a really good job with this horse. He was totally luckless there on Friday. It did look like if he got a run, he would have been right in the finish there, but he just didn't get clear, and he ended up finishing fifth, but he was only beaten about a length. So it was a really good effort, and he wasn't far away, and I certainly think there's a race very soon which he can go close in. And then in the free-for-all of the night, race 6, I thought Al Capone was obviously beaten quite a long way 2 starts ago, but driven more to his pattern. He's more of a sit sprinter on Friday. He was much better there, and he was only beaten about a length. He did get a nice rails run through, but I thought that was a really promising effort, and he's always been a horse that's not far away in those free-for-alls, so I thought he could pop up at a price very soon in a race like that.
All right, so 3 horses to follow there for Oli Cownie, Pocket the Change, Allwood Mac and Al Capone. Just some news that's coming through pertaining to our race day coverage today. Port Macquarie abandoned due to the state of the track, so no surprise with the drenching that New South Wales has been copping. So still Corowa on the agenda from a New South Wales point of view today. We'll have the preview for that at the end of Off and Pacing, but punters take note, Port Macquarie today is off due to the state of the track. Okay, just before we get some best bets for today and also tomorrow, I do need to touch on the Narrogin Cup on Saturday night. So it was a nice surprise to see He's a Sport pop up in the nominations for this race, and he was able to justify the short quote here. This was a pretty effortless win. Matt, what was your take on He's a Sport beating Penny Black and Rock Me over there on Saturday night?
Yeah, I think most people were probably expecting that would be the exactor in the race. Penny Black just had the draw disadvantage, but at the same point, you've seen the runs of He's a Sport, who, although going into the race he hadn't won this preparation, his first up run was disappointing, but he had to work and do plenty. But his run in the Nullarbor and the Fremantle Cup just suggested that he should be winning, and he went around to that shorter quote and he was able to get the job done. Had to do some work in the race, but it looked like Denny Roberts was never too concerned about what was transpiring underneath her, and she was able to dominate. So Penny Black was good. She's racing in wonderful fashion. Rock Me Over's been racing well. He's a horse that gets the trip well, but yeah, it was just always who was going to run third for mine, and I'm sure Ollie would probably agree with that. But He's a Sport. He's going to win better races in the Narrogin Cup this calendar year, I believe.
Ollie, did you see it that way?
Yeah, definitely. It was a brutal last 1200 there. They went 328s, and he was just way too good in the end. He's a Sport. He's a class above, and he's shown that he can, race in those Grand Circuit races and be really competitive. Penny Black was terrific in second. She was off the track there, and she made plenty of ground into second, and she beat third by a long way. And Rock Me Over, really good run. He's an older horse, but he's still racing really well. And I thought Codename Marcus was pretty good there as well for fourth as well. All
right, let's turn our attention to Pinjarra today. Oli Cownie and Matt Young giving their best bets. upcoming or their best plays for the meeting. And Ollie, will let you keep rolling. We'll go along to race number 2 today for the first of your plays.
Yeah, I thought this looked a nice little 2-year-old race. There's probably a couple of chances in the race, so I was happy to play one that I thought was a bit of value. Chris Austin was really good, I thought, on debut behind I'm Category 5, who's been an impressive winner twice now. So I think that could be pretty good form. Chris Austin was powering into third there, and really with any further in the race probably run second. So I thought, yeah, it was a terrific effort. They got home 28.6 in that race. Draws the back row here, but is the only horse on the back row, so has options, can come off the inside and potentially sit in the running line somewhere. And if they go too hard early, which I think they might, there's a few go forward types, Miss Bejeweled and Star Aristocrat. They both like to go forward, so I think this could set up really well for Chris Austin to come over the top, and looks a really good 1x3 type angle for us there in the second race. Then the next one I had for us was we'll have to wait a little bit, in race 8. I thought, I agree with Matt's thoughts on the preview this morning that Jackie Daniels would be best served with a sit on Always Be Frank. I think she'd get a terrific run just in behind him there. And she's been racing really well. She led recently at Pinjarra and she wasn't beaten far, and they did go pretty good time there. So I certainly think there was plenty of merit to the run, and she came off the back row to get to the front, so she did a bit of work there. And I think if she's able to take the sit on Always Be Frank, she can get the last shot at them up the sprint lane, and she could be really hard to beat there. And another one in that race, I actually wouldn't mind having something on at a price, was Alta Freeway. I thought he was really impressive there last Tuesday. He did a stack of work to finally get to the pegs, and in the end he was only beaten 12 metres, so I thought there was plenty of merit to his run as well, and he could be one that potentially pops up at a price. And the last one I had for us today was in the last race, and it was by Royal Command. I thought he's come back really well this time in. He's been racing really consistently, and last time out he just landed in a really strong race there, and he was behind the leader, and they started running a long way out there, and they went 27 down the back and 28 on the way home, and he was only beaten 12 metres there. So I still think there was plenty of merit in that run, and this looks a race with a lot less depth. I think last hard copy looks really hard to beat, but I'm happy to be with by Royal Command 1x4 type thing there. All
right, so by Royal Command 1x4, Jackie Daniels in race 8, and also something Alta Freeway, and then Chrysostom. We'll have a chat to Jocelyn Young after we've spoken to yourself and Matt this morning, Ollie, so stay tuned for that in race number 2. We'll talk about that. All right, Matt, let's go and get some plays for your good self.
We'll go start race number 4 on the card. I thought Huey get a really good run here. He's really elevated his last few starts, and I think he's ready to win. Could be leaders back in the race, and sometimes that's the best spot in these races if the leaders just overdo it in that first 300 or 400 metres of the event. So, look, I think Huey's going to be pretty hard to beat on an each-way basis around that $7. You can have a 2x3, 2x4 sort of bet, and I think he'll run really well. So, race 4, number 4, Huey on an each-way basis. I was pretty keen, race 7, number 7, Sugar Delight, to get the job done. I thought she really just comes across for mine as the horse with a lot of upside, and I think with that one run under the belt, she's going to be very hard to beat again. So race 7, number 7, Sugar Delight. And in race number 8, this was a race that I was reasonably keen to play, and probably they've both been sort of farmed a little bit, but I was happy to play the 1 and the 2 because I thought they'd be leaders back. So Always Be Frank, I think, gets a really good opportunity, and Jackie Daniels is going to get a really strong crack at them. So seeing as Ollie's gone with Jackie Daniels, I'll throw in Always Be Frank as a saver for the win, because I think he'll run a pretty good mile out in front, and he'll have them stretching. It's just whether his big frame can hold off little Jackie Daniels late. So that's sort of how I'm going to play today. Race 4, number 4, race 7, number 7, and race 8, 1 and 2.
Could you have a Quinella there, Matt, in that 8th event on the program?
Sure, why not, Tim?
All right, well, we might just do that. Now, we'll let you go first with Gloucester Park tomorrow night, Matt. Where are you playing at this early stage?
Races 2 and 3 without the markets being out, but race 2, Road Closure's been racing quite well. I've liked his 2 runs back. He hit the line bolting last start. He was a horse that I tipped on this program. I'm going to tip him again. I think he's going to get a really good run. Likely to be leaders back in the event. There could be maybe even 3 back to pegs, but I just think if he gets even luck and gets a crack at them, he's going to be very hard to beat. So race 2, number 2 each way, Road Closure, and race 3, number 2, Tyrivan Pinky, I think gets a really good opportunity here. The one horse hasn't got a lot of speed. There's not a lot of speed in the race, and there's not a lot of depth, to be fair, in the race in terms of horses that'll be putting pressure on. So I think Tyrivan Pinky can get away with a nice, easy lead time and is going to be very hard to beat. So race 2, number 2 each way, and race 3, number 2, straight out. I think Tyrivan Pinky will get the job done.
All right, a pair of twos, Road Closure and Tyrivan Pinky in the second and third. Ollie, you're going to the top of the program.
Yeah, in the first race, there's a horse that's probably been pretty costly for people to follow, Flying Felix. He's gone around in the market most starts, and he's only got the solitary win from 7 starts. But I do think he's shown plenty of ability, and he's done a few things wrong. So I think he's starting to put things together here, and he draws fairly well in gate 4, and I think he can get forward in this race, and he can race up on speed and potentially just overpower them late. And I think Cristofano is likely the leader, and he weakened late in his race last week. So I think Flying Felix can just be a little bit too strong for them in that first race, but certainly respect that he's been a little bit costly, so I don't want to take too short a price there. And then in race 7, there's a horse that has a great association with Emily Savalco in Jamie Kim. Every time she drives him, he seems to go really well. She was driving in his last victory at Northam, and he was good there, and she's in fantastic form at the moment, Emily Savalco. Another quartet on Friday, so I think we can back her in to lead on Jamie Kim in this race and be really hard to beat there.
Yeah, absolutely. She's going along very nicely. 4 winners last Friday week, and then last Friday night, another 4 winners just for good measure. So she's having a terrific time of it, and at different prices as well, different price range, a couple of favourites and then a couple that are at double figures. So hopefully that can roll on with Jamie Kim tomorrow night there in race 7 for Ollie, as well as Flying Felix in the opener. All right, gents, good job today. Matt, Racing WA Harness X page today, full interviews.
Yep, I'll be there, so looking forward to it.
Looking forward to seeing those come through, and again tomorrow night. And Ollie, hopefully a few winners, and well done to your mighty Dockers as well on Saturday.
Thanks, Tim. The West Coast were pretty good as well, getting a win, first win for the season. Thanks, Tim.
Happy campers all around today. All right, we'll take a short break. Just repeating that news, if you did miss it earlier on, the meeting at Port Macquarie today has been abandoned due to the state of the track, and the wet weather has been the story over in New South Wales the last couple of days. So that is off. We're down to 2 thoroughbred meetings today in Corowa and Horsham. We'll have previews for that after Off and Pacing has concluded, and we're going to finish it off next with Jocelyn Young. She's going to join us and talk to us about her chances today and also the very latest on Steno.
You are listening to Off and Pacing on Tab Radio, Racing and Sport.
Great to have your company this Monday morning, and great to have the company of our next guest back in Perth after what was a successful time of it over on the East Coast, and it might not be done yet with Steno. I'll speak, of course, of Jocelyn Young. Good morning to you, Jocelyn.
Good morning, Tim.
Great to have your company this morning. Just talk to us the last fortnight or so over there on the East Coast. You must be absolutely wrapped with what the mare's done.
Yeah, I was pretty confident that she would go really well, but to do what she did was pretty insane. She's rode her last half in 53 off the track. When I was last, I thought we'd never get that close.
No, not at all. And I don't think you were alone. So for her to do what she did, because we know she's got that brilliant gate speed and we know she's able to run some time, certainly out here at Gloucester Park, but to do it off the track, as you mentioned, in a high-quality mares race, and Luke's mare's an absolute ripper, we know that. Did you think that she was capable of being able to do that? And what might a run like that do for her going forward?
Yeah, obviously we know that she's super fast, probably at Gloucester Park when she's got the gate speed she's got and you can just get across and control a race. We generally drive her like that. But, obviously on the big track, having that turn of foot and not having to burn her early because the gate just goes a lot different there too. She's got gate speed, but then they all do. They're just running so much harder off the gate. We elected to just take our medicine, take her back, knowing that she's still going to have that turn of foot. I think for her to come home and hit the line like that, it's done her the world of good. So I'm really looking forward to starting her again.
Absolutely, so you should be. Do you feel it was career best, that run in the feature, the Queen Elizabeth, the second mile a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, well, it's probably right up there against that quality of mares that she was racing, the times that they ran and the way that she did it. Definitely couldn't ask for any more from her.
And how's she come through the run and what it looks like over the next couple of weeks, knowing that there's some Queensland goals in sight?
Yeah, she comes through it really well. Like I said, she desperately needed that first up run, and then going into the Queen Elizabeth, she was probably nearly spot on, but she come up off that, like she pulled up super. So I think that she should even maybe get a touch better if that's possible. Really looking forward to Queensland and trying to beat Luke.
Yes, it's a good dilemma that is in front of you, trying to beat Luke McCarthy. Just on that for you personally, to be able to be there on a big night, which that was a couple of weeks ago, and some high quality races right throughout the course of the program. You travelling a horse, how big of a fill up was it for you personally?
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Met so many great people, and saw a lot of good horses go around, and I've been sort of working alongside of a lot of nice horses at Luke's. It's actually pretty surreal to think that we've gone all the way over there, little girl from Pinjarra, and Steno represented us so well. I'm so proud, but probably hasn't really even sunk in yet.
Yeah, it was terrific to watch her go about her business and yourself as well, and just being able to pick up all those little things you mentioned, Luke. They're obviously staying over there with Luke as well, and seeing how things look over there. A lot of the horses have gate speed, like you mentioned, and do you feel like it's just going to be so beneficial going forward, having this experience and hoping that there's many more of them for you?
Yeah, definitely. Hope that there's more of it because it's been a pretty cool time. It's a great experience. Obviously, a lot of things are different, like in terms of their racing and the way that they work horses and things like that. But there's definitely plenty to take away from it. I'm not done yet. No, not at all. So Skylord's had a couple of chances over there at Menangle. How have you assessed what he's done? Obviously, last Saturday week's finishing second and was unplaced on the weekend, but it was a much trickier assignment. Yeah, he's good. He's definitely a lot better on that big track. He crossfires quite bad here, so we've been able to sort that out, which is great. He seems a lot more comfortable, and I think it's just a matter of a couple of runs in that sort of racing where it's just a lot probably faster. It's just totally different for him, but I think that he's actually really going to suit it. And I was really happy with him on Saturday. He just peaked quite bad that last 50 or so, but he did pull up huge. So just a couple more runs should see him get a bit fitter. And it's just been I just took him for something different for him, trying to see if the bigger track's going to help him, which I think it is. So I am looking forward to seeing what he does. Okay, is he one that you might just take up to Queensland as well with Steno, or just stay in Sydney, have a couple more starts and that'll be it for him? Well, yeah, the plan was to take him to Queensland, but obviously with the Inter's going to be on up there, it's probably going to be quite strong. So leaving him in Sydney is probably a better option, but the only reason he's there is so that I could be with him or he could be with me. So that makes it tricky. But yeah, still got to weigh that up. I do think, probably is smarter to leave him at Menangle. So I just have to figure that out. All right. Now let's turn our attention back locally. Now,
Ollie, when we were speaking to him just a couple of moments ago, made one of his plays today, Chrysostom, in the second event on the program for the 2-year-olds. It's quite a strong 2-year-old race. What was your assessment watching on from afar there with what she was able to do on debut 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I thought she was really good. She's obviously quite green, and she's generally is a little bit lazy, and Maddie hasn't had a whole lot to do with her, so there's probably a lot of learning from Maddie and the filly. But, now she's had that bit of race experience. She's drawn all right in there behind them, and the form come up pretty good with Brownie's horse going on and winning again. So that's promising, and from all reports, she's come on really well from that run. So I'm looking forward to taking her around. But, it's not an easy race.
No, it's not. The lone runner off the back line, you're expecting that there might be a bit of speed. That was certainly the opinion of Ollie when we were chatting to him just a couple of moments ago.
Yeah, probably in being a mile, that sort of, encourages people to come out the gate and do not want to sit back and wait too much.
Yep. Okay. All right. So that is in race number 2 today. And then your other chance is in race number 7. So you've had a scratching there. Obviously 4 mil coming out. We'll wait for another day. But Sweet Ivy, how you've assessed what she's been doing as well from afar of late.
Yeah, I think her first up run was good. She badly needed that run. She drew to just sit in there and follow, and she did just that. They run pretty good time. And yeah, she looked like she hit the line okay without having a whole lot more to give, but about, probably where I expected her to be. And then she didn't have a whole lot of luck her next start. Now it's about a fortnight to this one. I've just got her here now looking at her. She's looking really well. But yeah, tricky spot. She's probably drawn behind some of the worst assessed horses in the race or in the market anyway. So not sure. We'll probably get shuffled back, but hopefully she's getting home well.
All right. Hopefully she can find the line. Well, all the very best going forward with Steno. It was great to see her a couple of weeks ago go about her business, or in fact 9 days ago, and we're looking forward to following on from afar, and hopefully everything goes well up to Queensland in a couple of weeks' time. Thanks for your time this morning.
Thanks for having me. There
is Jocelyn Young with us on the program, rounding out Often Pacing for today. Good luck if you are going to have an investment at Pinjarra. Coming up next, we've got our East Coast previews. We'll have the Corowa preview and the Horsham preview. Of course, Port Macquarie is off today, so take note of that, punters only, the 2 thoroughbred meetings. And we're only a tick over 2 hours away from the first at Pinjarra, which of course gets underway at 11:44, the first of 10. Just recapping those best. So Ollie with Chrysostom in race number 2, Jackie Daniels in race number 8 with Something Small on Alta Freeway, and By Royal Command on a 1x4 basis in the last. Matt going with Huey on a 2x3 basis in race number 4, then Sugar Delight in race 7, and Always Be Frank in race number 8. So that is a look at how things are placed for today there at Pinjarra. We'll take a very short break. Thanks for your company this morning on Often Pacing.